Jeroboam came back. At this time, Rehoboam had become king in place of his father. And of course, we know the story. The story is that Jeroboam went to Rehoboam and said, listen, your father taxed us a lot. Please reduce the tax. Now, Jeroboam had selfish ambition. He was not necessarily interested in advocating for the people. Although he was saying the right thing, he was a typical politician. All right? He was saying the right thing, which is reduce the taxes. Your father taxed us a lot. He was building the temple. He was building his own palace. He was also building a palace for the daughter of Pharaoh. And then, of course, we know the answer that Rehoboam came and gave them, that he wasn't going to reduce the taxes. In fact, he was going to increase them. And Jeroboam now saw a perfect opportunity to execute his already political ambition that he had been nursing even when Solomon was alive. And that's how he managed to take the 10 tribes, okay? To take the 10 tribes of, and then that's how he now formed what is called the Kingdom of Israel. Now, just to make sure that the story is completely complete, because of the sins of Solomon, Jehovah had promised that he was going to divide the kingdom. So it was actually Jehovah's plan, as part of punishment against Solomon, that the nation will be divided. So Jeroboam can be said to be an instrument in the hand of Jehovah. However, we will see that his selfish ambition made him to continue to deviate the mind of the people from the ways of Jehovah, and he introduced religion. We will see that shortly. So, let us see 1 Kings chapter 12. So, after Jeroboam has taken these 10 tribes, and now he has formed the Kingdom of Israel, he now created one. The capital is in Samaria. And then, this is what happens. During the feast, the people wanted to go to Jerusalem for the feast. Although they have two different countries now, two different kingdoms with two different kings, Jeroboam being the king of Israel, while Rehoboam being the king of Judah, the people of Israel only knew one thing, which is the calendar of Jehovah, the feast of Jehovah, and they know from everything that they have read and seen that they must go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, as Jehovah himself has said in Deuteronomy chapter 16. They know. But this is what happens. So when they wanted to go for feast, Jeroboam sat and said, if I let them go, one, they will take all their money and things and give it to Rehoboam. Two, they will pay tribute to Rehoboam. Rehoboam becomes rich because, remember, he has the majority, which is the 10 tribes. Two, they can conspire with Rehoboam and come back and kill me. This is what Jeroboam was thinking in his mind. Don't forget, we're talking religion. And that religion is a process where one person makes himself special and then uses that idea that he's special to control other people. Usually for his own selfish gain, no other reason. And there is a place, and we are moving gradually, telling you the stories of the Bible so you can see it for yourself. So if you read in chapter 12 of 1 Kings, you see what has happened. But I'm going to probably go to verse 25. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 25. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim, and dwelt there. Also, he went out from there and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now the kingdom may return to the house of David, if these people go up to offer sacrifices in the house of Jehovah. If I allow them to go for the feast, this kingdom that I'm enjoying now, which has always wanted, even when Solomon was alive, it will return. He said, if I allow them to go to the house of Jehovah and offer sacrifices, which is the right thing to do, which is the way of Jehovah. So, anytime somebody corrupts the way of Jehovah, it becomes religion. So most all religions are a corrupt way, claiming is a form of corruption. So you have added, you have subtracted. That's why Jehovah warned us not to add, not to subtract from his laws. Once you add and subtract from his word, it's no longer his word. It's something else. Totally something else. It's just like chemical compounds, right? You add something to a chemical compound, it's no longer what it was. It can no longer do what it plans to do. If you add a little bit more water, a little bit more salt to something, it's no longer what it's meant to be. Okay? So now he said in his heart, if these people go up to offer sacrifice in the house of Jehovah at Jerusalem, then the heart of these people will turn back to their Lord. Who is their Lord? Rehoboam. So the word Lord there is Adoni, right? Turn back to the Adoni or Adonenu, which is Rehoboam, king of Judah. And they will kill me and go back to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So simply, he's not interested in the people's welfare by way of worshiping the one true Jehovah. Okay? He's only interested in himself remaining as a king. He's only interested in himself remaining as a king. Therefore, verse 28, therefore, the king asked advice. Who is the king? Jeroboam. He now called a few people and asked them for advice. And then, this is what they advised him. They say, listen, what are they going to Jerusalem to do? For feast, Abi? They say, yes. Okay, let's create something for them. All they want is euphoria. All they want is feast. All they want is merriment. Let's create merriment for them and they will forget going to Jerusalem. This is mind control. This is giving people something that looks like the real thing, but it's not the real thing. Taking them away from the one true Elohim. What people with real free will should do is to reject that, irrespective of how beautiful it is. That's why they say not all that glitters is gold. But how many people will remember that when something is shining before your eye and they're presenting it to you and they ask you to make a decision now? Many people will quickly make a decision without thinking whether this thing that glitters is actually gold or not. So, verse 28 says he sought for advice, and then they said to him, make 2 calves of gold. 2 calves of gold. And he said to the people, it is too much. It is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is too far. It's too sunny. No transport money. It's too difficult. The laws of Jehovah is too difficult. Are you seeing it? It's not today that people with political ambition, selfish ambition, have been manipulating others and turning them away from the true worship of our King of Kings. He called the people and he said to them, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Excuse me. It's too much. If you have your free will, is there somebody that will tell you it's too much? They're living in their homes. That place they are living from Dan to Gad to wherever, that's their home. And Jehovah has already said 3 times a year, travel from wherever you are and go to Jerusalem. If the gift and the offering you have is too heavy, sell it and take money so you don't have to travel with a lot of heavy load. So that is the law of Jehovah, that you must travel irrespective of where you are. Are you saying that Jehovah does not know that the journey might be too far for some people or too stressful? He knows, but he told them to do it. And they were supposed to do it. He told them to do it. So it's important, but many of them, now somebody comes along and says to them, oh, it's too much for you. It's too much. Is that not what people are telling many believers today? That the laws of Jehovah is too difficult? Nobody can keep it? How can you keep the laws of God? Which one are you going to keep? If you break one, you are guilty of all, so it's better not to keep anyone so that you can be guilty of all anyway. If you break one, oh, how can you keep the Sabbath? It's too difficult now. How can you go do the feast? All these things are too difficult. They even give it a name. They say it's Jewish. Nowhere in the Bible is the word of Jehovah called Jewish. Nowhere. It says it's my word. But people come up with things just like Jeroboam for selfish reasons. Selfish reasons. I saw an advert by a pastor recently, and he was preaching against people traveling out of Nigeria. There's a lot of people going now, Canada, all these things. Why is that? Because if people continue to go, people lose their members. So now, if Nigeria is what it is, it's tough for a lot of people. People are traveling for their own benefit, using their free will to decide where to stay. And somebody is saying, don't go, because of selfish reasons. This is what is happening here. Jeroboam started another full corruption of the ways of Jehovah, introducing his own religion. Remember, religion is any process that any one man or a set of people or woman comes together to use to control other people. If you are just joining, I went and I started with Genesis chapter 1, where Jehovah gave us dominion but not over man. That's why anyone that kidnaps another, the Bible says that person must be put to death. Whether whether the person they kidnap is found alive or dead, or whether they've collected ransom or not. You can read it for yourself in Exodus chapter 21. When I showed it to somebody before, he was like, oh, really? Because anything that makes you to take control of the life of another person and take away the ability to choose. Even Jehovah came and told Israel, I have two options for you, good and bad. Good and bad. You choose. However, I advise you to choose good, because he's giving us free will to choose. Religion tries to take away the free will so that they can control you. And I'm helping you today to understand that this is a mind game, and you must not allow anyone to control you. And the only way to do that is to study for yourself and ask questions. Ask a lot of questions before you make any decision. All right. So here we are. Therefore, verse 28 of 1 Kings chapter 12. Therefore the king asked advice, made 2 calves of gold, and said to the people, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Here are your gods. Why you bother to go to Jerusalem to look for a god that you cannot even see? Here I've made you, God of gold. Here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt. You are going to Jerusalem to look for God that brought you out of the land of Egypt? Come on, I've made you a god, and it's too stressful for you to go. Land of Egypt, verse 29. And he set up one in Bethel, and the other he put at Dan. Remember, Jehovah told them in the wilderness that you must not sacrifice anywhere you see. When you get to the land of Canaan that I'm going to give you, you also must not sacrifice anywhere you see. I will choose a place. When I choose that place, I will let you guys know. Then you can sacrifice. Now, we know that Jehovah chose Mount Moriah in Jerusalem. And the Bible says he put his name there permanently in perpetuity. He has not moved it to anywhere in Africa, as some people would like you to believe. That's also a form of control. Okay? Now, and that's why you have all form of religion telling you about altars here and there. That's not in the word of Jehovah. The ways of Jehovah are simple. Simple. If you read the Renewed Covenant writing, it talks about the perfect law of liberty. The perfect law of liberty, maybe I'll continue that next week. Perfect law of liberty is about ability for you to use your Elohim-given free will to choose him. That's what perfect law of liberty. What's liberty? You can Google it yourself. Liberty is the free will to choose, unchoose, and choose again. That's what liberty is. Free will to choose, unchoose, and choose again. That's why bribery and corruption limits your ability to continue to express your liberty. Because now you have what in law they call a lien. If you're taking money from somebody to do something, that is now a lien on your liberty, because you may now have to choose what you did not want to choose if you did not have a lien on you. The way the Bible describes corruption, it says it makes the mind of somebody who was wise to become foolish, or dullens the minds of that. But let's leave that. So there is something called the perfect law of liberty. And that perfect law of liberty is meant for you and I to always choose Jehovah irrespective of the circumstances. Or when we make a mistake, we unchoose and choose him again. So here was Jeroboam, and he corrupted the minds of the people. He made the place of worship closer to them by telling them first that Jerusalem was too far. Now they will believe his word instead of the word of their Father in heaven, who says 3 times a year, you must go to Jerusalem. So whose report will you believe is a question that you can ask yourself if you're a believer. He made it easy because people love convenience. It's not today that we love convenience. But look at what convenience is doing to people. Eating junk food, not moving about properly, doing all that, and people are dying younger and younger. Why? Because of convenience. Convenience is of course good, but everything must be done in moderation. So he told them, listen, I have built you 2 golden calves, and these are your gods that brought you out of the land of Egypt. Something that if they were studying, they would have known that, the first time that somebody did this, 3,000 people died. 3,000 in the wilderness. The first time that Aaron made a golden calf and said, behold your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, 3,000 people died. But of course, once you don't read, once you don't study, once you are ignorant, then you are susceptible to mind control and manipulation, domination, which is taming and controlling you. So it's up to you to pick up your Bible and study. And that's why I'm teaching you today. I can't teach you everything in one hour. Neither do I know everything. However, if you pick up what we are sharing and listen to it time and time again and study the Bible and make up your own mind for yourself, then you realize how blessed you will be to express your free will. So Jeroboam said to them, here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt. And he set up one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. Now this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one as far as Dan. It was still far, but they went there. But because, in fact, if you keep reading it, let me read it a little bit more. They went as far as Dan. Verse 31. He made shrines on the high places. He didn't stop there. So he built these 2 big cathedrals and all that. Then he made smaller places. Listen, you don't have to go too far. If Bethel is too far for you, or Dan is too far for you, you can just go to one of the shrines that's closer to you. He made shrines on high places. He made priests from every class of people. People that are not supposed to be priests, they are not from the tribe of Levi. Reason is that after he took the 10 tribes, the people from tribe of Levi actually went over back to Judah because they were educated. Because education is key to avoid enslavement. If you are not educated, and what education is not about going to school, okay? Many people have asked me, oh, have you gone to theology school? I said, no, I am not going to theology school, because if you go to theology school, they will control your mind. The best way to understand the word of Jehovah is to read the Bible. Simple. Okay? So if you go to theology school, you're just going to control your mind. And then you start seeing things not from what Jehovah has written, but somebody like Jeroboam of today will tell you it doesn't matter. We have created this rule and that rule, and if you obey them, then you are obeying God. And people place themselves as God above others. So he told them that Jerusalem was too far, but he still made a golden calf in Dan. And some people traveled even far on the opposite direction, going to Dan, without thinking that it was far again. Because there is they've been deceived, they are now being controlled, and some shiny, glittery things have been dangled before them. Which one are you? The question as we continue this. Now, he made shrines on the high places and made priests from every class of people who were not of the sons of Levi. Today you have people all over Nigeria answering many names and they are not sons of Levi. You can see the thing repeating itself today. Okay? These people could have claimed to be spiritual high priests and spiritual Levites. After all, they were Israelites, but they could not because they were not from tribe of Levi. Now, 32, just watch out. Jeroboam ordained a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month. Pay attention. 15th day of the 8th month. That's a counterfeit. The feast of Jehovah, which is the feast of tabernacle, happens on the 15th day of the 7th month. 15th day of the 7th month. But of course, he cannot take the same date. Okay? He cannot take the same date, because if he does that, then he is taking the date that to worship Jehovah to worship a calf. So he's creating an alternative religion by subtly changing the days of worship. So he ordained, meaning he promulgated a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah. So while Judah was celebrating in the 7th month, he says, don't worry, we are going to do a bigger one. And offered sacrifice on the altar to the golden calf. So he did at Bethel, sacrificing to the calves that he had made. And at Bethel he installed the priests of the high places which he had made. So he made offerings on the altar which he had made at Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th month, in the month which he had devised in his own heart. And he ordained a feast for the children of Israel, and offered sacrifice on the altar and burned incense. So it was a massive feast. Come and eat and enjoy yourself. He made an alternative religion. Totally alternative. There was the true thing going on in Judah in the 7th month, but he decided to create an alternative one in the 8th month. If you are just joining us, I'm talking about religion. How religion is the process by which a few people or one person creates an avenue to control other people. We will continue this discussion even as the world begins to look into Christmas and things like that. You will see that it's all about a way to control others. Because you can see here that Jeroboam has told them it's too difficult to go to Jerusalem. Meanwhile, he created another worship center in the opposite side, which is as far as going to Jerusalem. And many enjoy, because he, instead of 7 days feast, he made his own 14 days. He gave them wonderful food, and people forgot that they were bowing down to idol. But we know in the Bible there is no excuse. We have 3 Hebrew boys who refused to bow to another golden statue in the book of in the book of Daniel, and we know that how Jehovah used them mightily. So you can stand for the truth. You may think you are standing alone. In fact, I was telling somebody that if you stand for the truth, your friends will disown you. Your family will call you crazy. Your children may start to doubt you. Your husband or your wife may even. Don't be afraid of that. You know why? Because Yeshua said, I've come to bring a sword that will divide husband and wife, father-in-law and brother-in-law, and all those things. Why? Because if you stand for the truth, you may be disliked. That's what it means not to conform to the world. People go about saying we are not of the world, we're not supposed to be conformed to the world. I agree, but check what you are doing. Are you not conforming to the world? What is the world, by the way? So I'm going to stop here because our time is up. I want to encourage you to join me again at the same time next Friday. We continue this religion part 2, which is a manipulative way that people are controlling others. But today is the Sabbath day. It's a wonderful day that Jehovah has made. It is not difficult. If you start observing the Sabbath, you find it so wonderful. Don't listen to a Jeroboam around you that tells you it is difficult to do what Jehovah says to do. There is no vacuum in life. It's either you are serving one master or another master. You can't, even if you serve yourself, is also a God. You are becoming a God to yourself. The reason Father created you, he gave you free will so that you can serve him and honor him and talk about him. And the only way to honor him is to do what he says we should do. Till I come your way again, my name is Apostle Chidos Chukwu. I brought you today truths from the Bible. You want to join us, you want to worship with us here in Ogba in Lagos, 51 Ijayi Road, beside UBA Bank. Please join us tomorrow, every Sabbath day at 10 a.m. If you find yourself in Owerri, opposite First Baptist Church, you will find us there, 118 Wedra Road. Same time, you will find us there. Please join us. If you are in Lekki, please join us at Road H, House 6, Ikota Estate. Very important. You join us at 10 a.m. also. If you find yourself in Port Harcourt, we are there at number 8 Ikeani Amadi Street by Shobas Filling Station in Rumukrishi area by the famous tank. There's a road construction there, so you may have to give us a call if you are finding missing your way. But we bring you truths from the Bible. It's the word of Jehovah. It's undiluted. We read it as it is, only helping you to understand, and you are free to ask questions. Use your free will and choose Jehovah, and he will always be on your side. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and be gracious to you. May he lift his face upon you and give you his everlasting peace. May you remain blessed, and Shabbat Shalom.